I'm pleased to be joined by Houston Roughnecks quarterback Reid Sinnett. Reid, how are you doing?
I'm doing well. Thanks for having me.
I'm overjoyed to have you now because I get to talk to you after a win, right? Like it was really touch and go there between you and the Renegades, and you guys were able to get a win. How does it feel to finally get in the win column as a starting quarterback, if I got this right, for the first time since what? USD? 2019? November 23rd? Jacksonville?
Yep, I got one start in the preseason in the NFL, so I get to count that one. But other than that, it was 2019 USD would have been against Northern Iowa. But to get in the win column feels really good, and I think we've finally kind of got away from beating ourselves. A couple of those first games, we're in the football game and we're making self-inflicted, mistakes, and so getting out in front, playing our game, not making mistakes. And I still think we have a lot of room to grow, but getting in the win column can create some momentum for us. And we've got the undefeated Stallions this week. So hopefully we can keep rolling with that momentum and, learn how to win some games.
As we dig into your background, I want to make sure that I'm fact checking myself here. Did y'all beat Northern Iowa in that game?
We did not. It was a rough one for me personally, but going back to my home state and getting to play against them, it was cool. But they were a better team than we were, and it was a tough one.
Well, I mean, FCS is tough, and the Pioneer League is tough for all the reasons. But I'm gonna back into this by saying I got a nephew that went to Drake. He's coaching now, and I asked him, "Do you remember Reid?" He's like, "Oh yeah, I remember. We got our butts handed to us, something awful, so much so that the defensive end was going, isn't he supposed to motion to my side?" And we're going, "Oh no, this is all bad." But one of the other things I noticed from that game that y'all won going away, I believe it was 49-7. You went for 281. You threw 117 of those yards to Dalton Kincaid, he of the Buffalo Bills in Utah. What was that like?
Yeah.
How was it to know that you had that sort of athlete on your team?
Well, having Dalton on the team was amazing. And that year it was Michael Bandy, who's currently with the Denver Broncos. He was my roommate. He put up numbers the year before that were close to breaking Jerry Rice's single-season record. So we had two absolute studs. And I know Mikey was funny about, we have Dalton now, this young kid that's like, this guy's a freak. I don't know why he's at this school. And, he's getting less touches because Dalton was so talented. And it was amazing to have those two guys on that team. And, I'm from the Des Moines area, so Drake is in Des Moines, Iowa. And so they were talking a big game coming out to play us at San Diego. I think they had the number one defense in the conference at that time. And I think we scored 42 points in the first half. And I'm pretty sure I completed like 22 or 23 passes in a row. So it was a beat down. And I'll remind the Drake guys of that one for sure.
Look here, man. It's one thing, right, to know about the Bulldogs or to know about USD. It's another thing to know about the Pioneer Football League and what that conference means for college football, right? For many people, it's the purest form of football scholarships. We don't do that here. We play football and we try to win championships, and usually it's been USD going away. But I want to back into that because you said that you're from the Des Moines area. You're from Johnston, right? And me having family up there, I'm kind of familiar. But it's not every day that I hear about a guy that was recruited to Harvard and Yale and then chose to go to USD and then sit for 3 years behind statistically the greatest quarterback that the Pioneer League has seen, right? If not USD, and then finally get a shot. So it's not out of the realm of possibility for you, or you've had to sit through this before, waiting your turn. And I really want to get into that psyche as a quarterback. How is it to sit there knowing you can spin it, knowing you can play, and still trusting the process at a place like USD and even with the Houston Roughnecks?
I mean, college was challenging, and I think at the time, like, the transfer portal wasn't a thing, and there was a reason that I was at USD. I couldn't get any of the Iowa schools to give me an offer. Not Iowa, not Iowa State, not Northern Iowa, the 1AA school. Drake didn't even recruit me, and so thought I was going to go to Penn. They had a coaching change. I thought I was going to go to Harvard. They had a coaching change. I thought I was going to go to Yale. They had somebody commit early. And then I'm like, where am I going to go to school? And the University of San Diego, Tanner Engstrand, who's currently the pass game coordinator for the Detroit Lions, gave me a shot. And I think I earned a lot of respect when I got there with how I approached, learning football, my intelligence, my understanding of my role on the team. And every training camp I went in and I tried to compete and I tried to beat out Anthony Lawrence, who is one of the best players, like you said, at USD that's ever been there. And he's one of my best friends. And if he was on this call, I'd say that I thought I was better than him. And we competed really hard against each other. And so he played really well, won us a couple playoff games, like did things that nobody had ever done at USD. And every year I wanted to go in and beat him out. And when that didn't happen, I felt like I understood my role, and it was to help him get prepared and be there for him when, he disagreed with the coach or something was going on, and he could lean on me to be supportive of him, and I was always there for him. And so that helped me get an opportunity at the NFL level, because I think I understood what my role on the team was, and being a backup isn't, sitting there and complaining that I should be on the field and this isn't fair and this and that and whatever. I was like, I'm going to take care of my business. I'm going to approach the game as closely as I can to being the starter. I'm going to prepare. I'm going to do everything I can to help them. And if I get a chance to go out on the field, I'm not going to let them take me off. And that's something that Tom Brady told me and mentioned to me when I was in my rookie training camp. He said, when Drew Bledsoe went down, I knew that was my opportunity, and I was going to do everything I could to let them never take me off the field again. And he kind of said that to me, you have to be able to do that. And, this year with the Roughnecks, I was disappointed with the decision at the beginning of camp, but I kept approaching it how I do and treated it like it's my job, which it is. And, it's professional football. So I was trying to be prepared every week when I got my opportunity. And, I feel like I've been able to take advantage of it, and hopefully we can keep getting some more wins in the win column.
It's interesting that you mention it's professional football, because one of the things that I have to relay to people is that football is a trade, not unlike carpentry, unlike masonry. You do it as a professional, meaning you have to approach it like a professional. And I get that some people only see guys that get to play, right? But you are mentioning to me some of the guys that you rub shoulders with, right? Guys that are in the NFL, got the greatest of all time in Tom Brady. You've been at a bunch of NFL locker rooms. You've been around this game your entire life. What are some of the things about being a professional football player that you would like to get across that come through in something like the UFL, where you don't have bye weeks? You got 10 straight weeks of doing this, and everybody understands we're trying to get back to the league, but we're also trying to win games, trying to win championships. What's the balance?
I mean, for me, I'm all in on football, and so I'm getting an opportunity to be the starting quarterback. So, I'm spending time working on my recovery, taking care of my body. That's my nutrition. I'm investing time and energy and money into all of those things. It's spending time on my iPad, watching third down cut-ups today and sending coaches ideas of things that I like. And maybe it gets in, maybe it doesn't. But, I'm going to try to put myself in the best position to have success when I'm on the field. And that goes with how I communicate with my teammates. That's, what I'm doing in the weight room. And for me, it's all encompassing. And I think that there's guys that lose that at the NFL level, where they get lost in the money or, the status or whatever it is, and they quit working at their craft. And for me, I've kind of had to grind out my opportunities, and I had to do it behind the scenes for a lot of years. And so whether it's the UFL or the NFL, I'm doing everything I can to try to get everything out of my potential and raise my ceiling and do everything I can to get back to the NFL. And I truly believe that I'm, in that top 100 in the world at this position. And that puts you on an NFL roster, or at least in an organization. And I think that the things I do behind the scenes, here at this level and at the NFL level, are things that help teams ultimately win games. And I'm willing to accept my role, whether right now it's getting to be the starter. And so, there's some things that come with that are a little bit more exciting in terms of game planning and things like that. But, if I'm the 2 or the 3, then I'm still doing my best to be prepared for my opportunity, as well as helping the room and elevating everybody in that room to play the best when they get to go out on game day.
It's also a damn good living being a backup quarterback. I'm just going to throw that out there. My guy Chase Daniels, King Finesse, telling this often.
Yep.
You know what I mean? If you can get that job, you keep that job for as long as you would like to hold it. I kind of want to get a little bit more into your family background, because I got this interesting note here that I need to clear up, right? So I kind of want to go into your bloodlines. Your daddy's Kurt Sinnett. I got that right.
Yep.
Kurt Sinnett, who played at Kansas, or I should say walked on at Kansas for Larry Brown and Roy Williams. Same guy.
Yep.
National championship on his finger. That guy.
Yep.
Oh, my goodness, man. I'm from Tulsa, Oklahoma, right? So Danny Manning is a
Okay.
Big deal for me, right? And KU basketball, Bill Self got to start at ORU and the University of Tulsa. What is it like for folks to not really know this about your dad unless they ask? And then kind of, Dad, were you any good? And maybe he would say that he was. I mean, he played at Kansas. You'd say he walked on. So I'm curious how much that comes up in conversation.
It's funny, it was talked about a lot when I was young, and he coached me in everything, and basketball was always his first love, and so there was a lot of encouragement in my basketball game when I was young, because that was where he felt the most confident. But I think I gravitated towards baseball and football more, and so he was always so supportive of me in that stuff. He's got great stories of what it's like to deal with different coaches. Larry Brown and Coach Williams had very different approaches to how they coached. He is a coach at heart. That's kind of who he is as a person, and I think that translates into my personality quite a bit as well. But I mean, it's awesome to kind of have that background and that experience, and for him to share some of the things that he dealt with as an athlete. And then, he really pursued what he loved. And like, I've always admired that. And I think he got every ounce of what he could out of his ability, if that makes sense. He worked really hard at his game. He did everything he could. He was competitive as hell. And I think that's some of those things have rubbed off on me. And I've only beat him once in one-on-one, and I think that was the day he quit playing basketball. And so it was, he's still super competitive, and it's fun for us to go back and forth at anything. But I didn't get him until I was probably 17, and I probably won like 7-5, and he was like, all right, I'm done with this. You're good. So it's awesome. And now, my parents are so supportive of me and what I want to do with this game. And he loves the X's and O's part. So every Saturday morning or Sunday morning, we're going over the call sheet, and I'm telling him about, here's the game plan. Here's what we're going to try to do. Here's why we're doing this stuff. And so he loves the scheme of sports in general. So it's really awesome to have him in my corner.
Man, beating Dad in a game of pickup is still a rite of passage, right? Because he doesn't let you win, and he will foul the hell out of you. Like, you're going to earn every bucket. So I can understand that he would be that way about, hey, I'm not playing anymore because my kid can beat me. Kind of want to get you out on here on this question, but I think it's fun. A couple years ago, I got to talk with Case Cookies, who I think picked up a personal foul penalty on a pick where he went and he took the haymaker out, and they gave him the flag. And then I looked down, and you got a 30-yard TD to yourself against Cal Poly to open the 2019 season. I got that right?
Yep.
Okay, so it gets batted in the air, and you catch it and start running?
It was my first career start, and we had this play on 3rd and long, and it was just supposed to be like a shallow running from the boundary to the field. Everybody's blocking for him. And I went to throw it to him, and it just got batted right back into my chest. And I mean, I caught it just instinctually, and the end had rushed up the field, and then everybody had chased the shallow, and nobody's out in front of me. And I caught it, and I just kind of hit the seam thinking, oh, I can get this first down. And then there was nobody. So I ended up scoring on that play. I got credit for a completion, a reception, a receiving touchdown, and a passing touchdown.
That's got to be on a Jeopardy question. It's got to be, man. And that's kind of the way you draw it up, right? As a kid, you're throwing to yourself, and you had that happen in your first career start. It's outstanding, man. 30-yard pass and catch, Reid Sinnett to Reid Sinnett. I love that so much. I also want to add in there, you had a hell of a day. 416, 4 TDs, 3 picks, but I mean, that seemed like you were having fun that day and really were coming into your own.
Yeah, it was great to get out there, and like you said, I threw for a lot of yards and some touchdowns and some bad decisions. Like, you get antsy, a little bit, like, as a young player, and so there were a couple plays where, the right decision is right in front of you, and you try to make the big play, and you're like, nah, I shouldn't have done that. And so as you get more experience and things like that, you get rid of that stuff. And so that's where I think that my game has gotten to, where, especially in this league with how, it's not simpler. It's just that there's less time that everybody gets to spend together. So the scheme is a little bit simpler at times. And so I feel confident in my ability to have answers versus whatever defense they want to throw at me. And so with that experience, you're able to kind of make the right decision and distribute the ball properly. And a lot of times good things happen with that. So I think that that's been a big strong suit of my game. And hopefully I think that shows on the game tape.
Well, tell CJ to put that pass and catch to yourself in the playbook, especially
Yeah,
as you guys
I need to.
guys are getting ready to take on the Birmingham Stallions. I wish you luck in that game. I'm going to be watching it. I'm overjoyed with this league. I have a lot of fun getting to know you guys and really getting to understand your stories. Reid Sinnett, Houston Roughnecks quarterback, thank you so much for joining us here on the #1 college football show to talk UFL.
Thank you so much for having me. It was a good chat.
If you like what you've seen, consider subscribing to the #1 college football show on YouTube, the Fox Sports app, or wherever you get your podcast.